This is the Junior Jam 2022 presentation to help prepare you for your upcoming individual junior year advising session with your school counselor. The purpose of the Junior Jam session is to meet with your school counselor to plan for senior year and life beyond high school. This year, you'll be registering for your individual Junior Jam sessions through bookings. Links to register have been emailed to parents and are also posted on our Lassiter School Counseling junior page. The Lassiter School Counseling Department is made up of 5 school counselors and 2 clerks. We separate our students alphabetically by last name. So if your last name is A through C, Mrs. Johnson is your school counselor. D through HO, Mrs. Hughes. HP through M, Dr. Reeves. N through SR, Mrs. Ben. And ST through Z, Mrs. Clark. Our 2 clerks, Mrs. Lehman and Mrs. Toman, sit out front and assist with scheduling appointments and assisting with records and all other counseling duties. Your school counselor is available to your student during the school day, and if parents need to contact the school counselor, the best way to start is by emailing them. And all of our emails are on the Lassiter website or the Lassiter School Counseling website. Junior advisement is really the starting point in us talking about what life after high school is going to be for your students. So looking at this flow chart, a lot of things that they can start looking at, you guys can start having conversations about to get this process going. But really starting off with what are they interested in? Talking about career choices, talking to adults that they know that are in those careers. Any kind of job or internship experience is only going to enhance their search and help them decide what area they're looking to study. Then the next step would be looking at schools that have those majors and programs that your student is interested in. Researching those college choices as far as, is this a good fit for me? Looking for scholarships. Building relationships with teachers. Finding community service options and getting involved at Lassiter are all things that are going to help facilitate making this plan for life after high school. Junior year is typically when students begin taking the SAT or the ACT. These are the college admission exams. Collegeboard.org is where you would find information about the SAT. ACT.org is where you would find information about the ACT. Most schools will take either or, so really it's up to the student on which test they prefer. There are some schools that are still test optional. Not in the state of Georgia. In the state of Georgia, all of the USG system schools do require either an SAT or ACT for admissions. For prep for these exams, Khan Academy is a great resource. So going ahead and looking at your calendar and planning a test for this winter or early spring to get that first test under your belt. A big question that we get is, should I take the SAT or the ACT? We really encourage students to try both tests. Typically, after taking both, they know which one they prefer, and then that's the one they want to focus on and retest and review for. The SAT is a test of aptitude. The scores go from 400 to 1600. And there's a big emphasis on reasoning. There is more time on the questions, but it does go more in depth. The ACT is a test of achievement, where the scores range from 13 to 36, and it really is a measure of what we've learned. There is a ton of geometry in the math section, so that can be a factor sometimes for students on which test to take. And there is less time, so it can feel a little rushed, but sometimes students prefer that. Like I mentioned previously, some schools are continuing to be test optional. In the state of Georgia, though, all of the University System of Georgia schools are not test optional, which means they are still requiring either an SAT or an ACT score for admissions. Khan Academy is a great free resource for test prep for these college entrance exams. You can actually go in and link your Khan Academy to College Board to get your previous PSAT results. They will take those results and customize and prepare a test prep plan for you based on the questions you missed previously. So it's a very great way to study and prepare for the SAT or ACT and kind of get an idea of what that test is going to look like. The other big thing to start thinking about this year is starting to visit and do some research about schools. Here at Lassiter, we do have college reps visit. Usually over 75 in the fall do visit us. You can register for these and see the list in Naviance under the What's New tab. But the admission counselors come on campus and meet with students to present information and answer questions about their programs. College fairs are always a great way to meet the reps and learn more about the schools. Probe does offer some in Georgia in the fall, so check out that website. The college websites all have virtual tours, but if you can get on campus, that's always great too, to really get a feel for the atmosphere. And our website does have a ton of information about different schools, and there is a PowerPoint showing interesting facts about some of the schools that have come to visit us on campus. Something to be working on this year is building and creating that college list. This is a great conversation to start having and working on together as a family and talking about schools that you like, schools that you're interested in, and working on that list. Typically, we advise students have 3 to 6 schools on their list that they're applying to. And we definitely want to do some research and figure out which of those schools fall into the category of reach, which would be a school that is maybe more competitive, that you're working on bringing your test scores up or your grades up to be considered for. Range, where you fall in that mid 50% of students who have been previously accepted. And then definitely at least one safety school where you meet the criteria, exceed the criteria of who's gotten in previously. One way to gauge where the schools fall as far as being a reach, range, or safety for you is with their freshman profile. So that is on every school's website, and it is the middle 50% of students who were accepted the previous year to their program. Typically, it's looking at GPA, test scores, and then sometimes the number of AP courses. It's a great way to see where you fall and then work on that list. This is something that your school counselor can definitely sit down with and work on with you, and should be really a fluid document that you're working on as you're going into the summer of your senior year, so that way you can finalize it for senior year. When working on that college list, there are some factors to consider. What are the admission requirements? Are they different than your graduation requirements? For example, are they going to require that you have a business course or an art course, as some of our out-of-state schools do? Have you looked at that freshman profile and figured out where you fall as far as is this a reach, range, or safety school for you? Are the schools looking at a weighted GPA or an unweighted GPA? What is the minimum test score that they're requiring for admissions? Are they looking for extracurricular activities, work experience? What other things are they wanting from their students? Do they require letters of recommendation from your teachers? If so, that's something good to know your junior year, so you can start thinking about who you would ask to write a letter of recommendation for you. Typically, competitive schools do want at least 1, sometimes 2 academic letters of recommendation. And then, is there a college essay? More things to consider for your list. How much is the application fee for this school? Am I planning to apply early action, early decision, regular or rolling decision? Sometimes schools have multiple options, so you want to make sure you're selecting the one for the correct deadline that you're working towards. What is the average class size? Are there going to be giant stadium seating classes, or are there smaller classrooms? What works best for you? What are the expenses going to look like and financial aid? Are there different scholarships? Do I have to live on campus? And are there work-study programs? Just some more things to consider, and definitely things to ask about if you do go on those campus tours or meet with a rep. The next two slides are showing some freshman profiles for our top schools that students apply to. As you can see here, UGA and Georgia Tech are the most competitive in the state as far as the level of GPA, test scores, and the number of AP courses that their accepted students have. It's also got Georgia State on here, and then more on our next slide. Here are three other very popular schools that our students apply to in the state of Georgia, with their average GPAs and test scores of students who were previously accepted. It is important to mention what the more selective colleges are looking for in the admissions process. They are looking for that stronger GPA and that rigor of courses. So how many AP courses that student had taken in high school, as you saw previously in the slide for Georgia Tech and UGA. They do like to see foreign language higher than that minimum requirement of 2 years. Many students do continue on to levels 3, 4, and higher to AP. They do want to see math through the pre-calculus level, but they are looking for leaders and people that are doing things in the community and impacting this area. The essay is very important because it's demonstrating writing skill, and it's also giving the student an opportunity to give the admissions reps an insight into their personality and their personal life, which can help them stand out amongst all the other applicants. Still though, the three most important things for that admissions decision are going to be the numbers, the GPA, the amount of rigor that they're taking in their high school course selection, and then the best combination of their SAT or ACT scores. UGA specifically has told us that grades and rigor make up about 75% of academic success at UGA.
Okay, now that we have talked about what admissions offices are looking for in applications of their prospective students, we want to talk about how a school fits you. Everyone feels like there is that best college for them, but it is individual. So you want to think about, how does a college fit your needs? Not your best friend's needs, not where your parents went, that kind of thing. Try not to keep in mind how famous the college is or what its rank is. You want to decide, do they have a program that works for me? Do they have activities that work for me? College is really a lot about the experience and what you make it, what you can get involved in, what kind of connections you can get, what programs you can be involved in that are going to help develop not only your skills, but your resume for a future career. Everyone's college fit in ideal college is different. We talked a lot about four-year schools and four-year admissions requirements, but there are also technical schools, and there are many advantages to a smaller technical school. Oftentimes, technical schools are a lot cheaper. Their tuition is cheaper, so if you don't qualify for something like the Hope Scholarship, starting off at a technical school could be a good option. They have shorter programs, so instead of getting a full degree, there may be something that you want to earn a certificate in to start in the work field, and then potentially earn that bachelor's degree after that. They are more specialized in certain fields, and sometimes that salary shows that. A lot of times there are many high demand careers that if you have that skill and are qualified for that job, there is more job security. Technical schools offer a lot of hands-on learning oftentimes there is less time spent in those core classes and more time on the specific classes that are going to help you with your career. Again, if you do not qualify for the Big Hope Scholarship at a four-year school, there is a program called the Hope Grant, which helps pay technical school tuition, and there is not a GPA requirement for that. And also, if you start off at a technical school or even a two-year college, most of those core classes are going to transfer over to a four-year college if that is your end goal. The military would be another post-high school graduation opportunity for students. Joining the military could have a lot of benefits. It could help pay your education. So if you went straight into a service branch, you could get your education paid for after your commitment to the military. You would have a guaranteed paycheck, some vacation, opportunity for travel. You could eventually be either full-time or part-time with the military, some medical benefits as well. We have students that go straight into a military academy branch. We also have students that apply to a service academy, and we also have many students that participate in ROTC type scholarship programs at universities. This is just a plug for getting involved within Lassiter and the community. Some benefits of community service. Volunteering can help make you feel good about yourself. It can kind of give you direction, a sense of accomplishment. It can help with self-confidence, builds character, gives you some skills, helps you connect with people, which I think is something that a lot of students and everyone is kind of struggling with a little bit after the pandemic or while we're still in this pandemic. So just a little bit of a plug for why community service is important, not only to impress colleges, but to help yourself as well. We do give a community service cord for students to receive at graduation. We like to recognize and honor those students that work hard within the community. So if you accumulate 100 hours of community service by the time that you graduate, you will get a cord next year to wear at graduation. It did used to be 200 hours of community service, but because of COVID, we have dropped that to 100 because we know it has been difficult for you guys to get involved. This might be the first time that you're really joining a club as a junior, so we want to work with you there. So we do like for 50 of the hours to be Lassiter related community service, so with some type of Lassiter club or sport or organization benefiting the Lassiter community. And then 50 hours can be outside, whether that's with the church, through mission work, or something like that. Again, community service does look great on college applications. It is not required for graduation that you guys have community service, but we do like to recognize those students that do put in a lot of time helping the community. If you are in your Naviance account, we have a program called X2Vol. And that is where you are going to log your community service hours. It is pretty self-explanatory. You put in a description of the project and what you did, you put in an email address of the sponsor, and then they are going to approve that. It's great to have this electronic log because then when you are applying to colleges and scholarships, you will be able to go and reference it and kind of remember all the stuff that you have done in the past. And this is also how we pull our list of who is eligible for the cord. You can ask your counselor if you have any questions about this process. We also have a PowerPoint and a video of how to log your hours on the main page of the school counseling website. All right, jumping to talking about paying for college and more specifically the Hope Scholarship. So the Hope Scholarship is a scholarship in the state of Georgia. If you have the qualification for the Hope Scholarship, which is a 3.0 academic unweighted GPA, by the time you graduate from high school, you will receive the Hope Scholarship, which you can use to pay for about 80 to 90% of your tuition at a Georgia public school, okay? The requirement is a 3.0 only academic classes, so English, math, science, social studies, world language classes. It is unweighted, so no honors points are added into that. However, the Hope Scholarship does give a 0.5 weight for an AP course, but not above a 4.0. So if you are in AP Lang this year as a junior, if you get an A, a 4.0 will be averaged into your Hope GPA. If you get a B, a 3.5 will be averaged in. So again, it's only those core classes, so it is different than the GPA that is on your Lassiter transcript. So there are technically 3 different types of GPAs. You have your Lassiter weighted GPA, your Lassiter unweighted GPA, and then separate from your Lassiter transcript is your Hope Scholarship GPA. You can check your Hope Scholarship GPA through Georgia Futures. So if you go to www.gafutures.org, you can create an account and see what your Hope GPA is, and that is updated at the end of every semester, and again, not finalized until after graduation. There is a rigor requirement for the Hope Scholarship. A lot of times that rigor word is scary. It does not mean honors or AP classes necessarily, although those do count as a rigorous course, an AP class does. But you have to have 4 credits of rigor to be eligible for the Hope Scholarship, in addition to that 3.0 GPA. Examples of rigorous courses: physics, which most of our students are in; chemistry, which a lot of students took last year as a sophomore; algebra 2, which is a class that pretty much everyone has to take at Lassiter; any second and third level and beyond of a world language; and then any AP or dual enrollment class counts as rigorous. So 95% of our students just graduating from Lassiter are going to qualify with that rigor requirement. For more details and specifics about the Hope Scholarship, again, you can visit gafutures.org. There is a higher version of the Hope Scholarship that is called the Zell Miller Scholarship. This is for students that have a 3.7 academic unweighted Hope GPA. So if you have a 3.7 by the time you graduate from high school and either a 1200 on the SAT or a 26 on the ACT, you would qualify for the Zell Miller portion of the Hope Scholarship, which pays full tuition at a Georgia public university. And then again, a plug for figuring out what your Hope GPA is by going to www.gafutures.org and setting up an account. You do have to put your social security number in your account, and Lassiter also has to have your social security number for the 2 platforms to sync and give you your Hope GPA. So how do you apply for the Hope Scholarship? A plug for Financial Aid Night, which is coming up on Wednesday, October 13th at 6 p.m. in the concert hall. We will have a rep from Georgia Student Finance to talk about the FAFSA, the Hope Scholarship, and just paying for college in general. So that is a great event for junior and senior parents. So we definitely encourage you guys to come. So to apply for the Hope Scholarship, you are going to fill out one of 2 applications. So there is the FAFSA, which is probably the most common way to be eligible for the Hope Scholarship. That is the free application for federal student aid. It is open in October of your senior year. So you would not fill this out until at least October 1st of 2022. If you do not fill out the full FAFSA, which is the federal aid application, there is a state application, the GSFAPS, which is gsfc.georgia.gov, which you can find through Georgia Student Finance. Either application will connect with the Hope Scholarship. You will enter the colleges that you are potentially attending so that they will be able to see your Hope Scholarship as you enroll, your Hope Scholarship eligibility. And then another reminder that you have to have accurate information, name, birthday, social security number in your Georgia Futures account for you to be able to see your Hope GPA, and especially for colleges to be able to access and pull that and apply the scholarship to your tuition. All right, other ways to pay for college. So maybe you do not want to go to school in the state of Georgia, or you want some scholarships in addition to the Hope Scholarship, or you don't qualify for the Hope Scholarship. You can get a scholarship for almost any reason. You can get academic scholarships, athletic scholarships, maybe some artistic talent scholarships, a scholarship for the amount of community service that you have done. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities out there, but it is very tedious and time consuming to research and to apply. So we really encourage juniors to do their research this year, figure out what scholarships are out there, what scholarships they would be eligible to apply for. What do scholarships require? A lot of them require essay questions. And I always encourage students to look at those now, figure out if I was applying today, what would I write about? And if you don't have anything to write about, what can I do over this next year to give myself something to write about? You can look for scholarships through Naviance. There's a scholarship search engine there. College Board has them. Georgia Futures has them. There are many different scholarship search engines out there. Think about what makes you different. Think about different places you can look for scholarships, whether that be through your church or through a job that you have or through your parents' job. Lassiter has a lot of memorial scholarships. We have the PTSA scholarships. But again, scholarships are time consuming. College application process is a little stressful and it is a lot. So if you are organized with it now, it'll be a lot easier when it comes time to apply your senior year. Information on dual enrollment. So many of you guys have probably heard of dual enrollment, but dual enrollment is when you can earn dual credit for a college course. You earn high school and college credit at the same time. The state of Georgia has a dual enrollment program that offers free tuition to high school students to take college level courses. Every college has different requirements. So most students at Lassiter who participate in dual enrollment are going to participate either at Kennesaw State University or Chattahoochee Tech. You do have to complete Algebra 2 before starting dual enrollment, especially in math. The state will fund for 30 college credit hours, which is typically a full load for a year. So that would be if you were interested in doing full-time dual enrollment, potentially as a senior, and you took 15 hours both semesters, that would max out the funding. You can do dual enrollment as either a part-time student or a full-time student. We do have a lot of students that do part-time, so they stay at classes at Lassiter and then take a class or two at the college, so that is an option. You do want to think about what your end goal is and if dual enrollment is the right thing for you. So through dual enrollment, many colleges have told us that they would rather see AP classes over dual enrollment classes. And that is because the AP curriculum is nationally the same. So if you're applying to a rigorous school, so somewhere like Georgia Tech or UGA or Chapel Hill, they would rather see that AP class. They know what that AP class consists of. It's the same exam at the end of the year. They know the rigor level of it. They do not know what an English class at Kennesaw versus Chat Tech versus Georgia State is. So it really depends on the student. It obviously requires some maturity, responsibility. You are treated as a college student if you do dual enrollment. They may know that you are in high school still, but we cannot have conferences. Your teacher does not talk to your parent. So the high school student is treated as a college student and you are in charge of your grade and all of that. Also, there is not always extra quality points to your Lassiter GPA for dual enrollment. So there is a county policy on that. You only receive extra quality points on your GPA for a dual enrollment course if you have already maxed out in that subject area at Lassiter. So if you've taken the highest level AP chemistry at Lassiter and you took chemistry 2 at Kennesaw, that would be a situation where you would earn the extra quality point. But if you are taking government instead of taking AP government here, you would not earn the extra quality point on your GPA. Points for dual enrollment is that we want the student and the parent to do their research on it before talking with the counselor. So again, it takes a very motivated, responsible student. So we want you guys to kind of look up what is required and then come to us with your questions. You do have to apply for dual enrollment through the college's website. You have to send test scores to the college. So Kennesaw, Georgia State, your four-year schools are going to require an SAT or an ACT score. If you are interested in doing dual enrollment at a technical school, you could take the AccuPlacer, which is a placement test for technical schools, instead of doing the SAT or the ACT. You will meet with their counselor. There is some paperwork that we do on our end. There is a local school agreement that you sign, and then we will send your transcripts. Every spring, usually in March, we have a mandatory dual enrollment parent-student night to really go over all the ins and outs and the logistics involved with dual enrollment. We also have a very comprehensive dual enrollment page on the counseling website. So I would start there on doing your research, and then feel free to reach out to your counselor and potentially discuss during your junior advisement if dual enrollment is something that you are interested in for your senior year. Hopefully you guys have heard of Naviance. So what is Naviance? We have done a couple activities with you in your 9th grade classes, a little bit online, hopefully virtually last year. You guys logged into your Naviance accounts, but we are really going to start using it a lot more this year and then definitely your senior year. So Naviance is a career and college readiness tool that helps students with resources on planning for after high school. So there are a lot of great search engines. There are some different personality inventories, some learning style inventories, some career inventories. There's a college matchmaker. Like I said earlier, there is a scholarship search engine and a scholarship match system that you can do. You can upload and work on a resume inside Naviance. And then when you are a senior, you are able to, this is how we send your transcripts and recommendation letters from teachers is through Naviance. So you guys will be learning a lot more and using your Naviance account a lot more in the future. This is just a list of the different assessments that are in Naviance. There's a learning style inventory, like I said, Do What You Are, the MI Advantage, Strengths Explorers, all help you learn about yourself, maybe what careers would be good for you or what work settings, which then can help match you with college majors, which then can help match you to colleges. So Naviance is a great tool. We encourage you to log into your account and check out a lot of this information. To get into Naviance, everyone automatically has an account, so there really isn't a username or password. You log into your Office 365 account, and then you go to the Lassiter website, click on Student Quick Links, Naviance, and you'll log in with the Active Directory, and it will take you right into your account. So if you have questions about that, please reach out to your counselor. But we want you guys in your Naviance account poking around, saving colleges, saving careers, so that you can reference them later. All right, that is all that we have for this presentation. So hopefully this was a good resource and starting point for you. We know it is a lot of information. So what we want you to do now is sign up for your individual junior advisement appointment. So you should have gotten that information in an email. It is also on our junior website, off the school counseling website. So at this individual junior advisement appointment, you will sit down with your counselor. You will go over what classes you're going to take senior year, talk about like plan for the SAT and the ACT, talk about what type of college you're looking at, maybe even discuss that list of those reach, range, and safety schools, and certainly go over any questions that you have about junior and senior year and planning for life after high school. So we are excited to connect with you guys on this, and thank you so much for watching this presentation.